By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to target your ideal audience using Facebook ads. I'm going to show you the old way of doing it, which is the way I see most of you doing it. And I'm also going to show you the new way of doing it, which is the most scalable, faster, and easier way to do it. Using this strategy, I helped a skincare brand go from 100K per month to over 500K per month in just 12 months. I was also able to help a card game brand go from 20K per month to 345K per month in just 4 months. And I also helped a health and wellness brand go from 600K per month to over $4 million per month in just 4 months. If you want to learn a little bit more about that last one, I have a whole video on exactly how I did it. You can check it out here. Now, real quick, if you don't know who I am, I'm Miguel Mendez. I help brands go to multiple 7 and 8 figures. And I also train small e-com brand owners to get to their first 100K per month profitably every single month. So let's get straight into it. Now, this is the old way of targeting your ideal audience. Usually, you would go to your ad account, go to your ad sets, and target them using interest or lookalike audiences, or even custom audiences. I also see the same people doing the interest, lookalikes, and custom audiences doing multiple campaigns on their ad account. Now, this has some consequences, and one of the consequences is there is a limit in scalability. When you use interest targeting, lookalike audiences, or even custom audiences, what you're doing is you're putting boundaries to the algorithm to reach every single potential buyer there is. Why? Because you're telling the algorithm, hey, you can just go within this interest group and cannot go outside this group. Either a lookalike or an interest or even a custom audience, it's a selected group of people that is way smaller than if you were not using them at all. In 2025, the algorithm is so advanced and it has so much data from every single user of Meta that if you put these boundaries on the interest, it is not really going to give you a benefit, but instead it's just going to limit your scalability. And the way this looks like on your ad account is usually your winning ads start to have diminishing returns, also known as creative fatigue. With these boundaries, creative fatigue is way bigger and more common. Now, the second consequence is dirty data. If you have all these audiences and all these different groups of people that you're targeting and bringing to your store, your Shopify data will get mixed with all these audiences that are potentially not your ideal audience. Now, why is this important? Because this won't allow you to be able to measure things in the backend. So for example, let's say you're making an offer or you're launching a new product. You're not going to be able to have the clean data that you need in order to make a good decision. Now, these are the things I call the high impact tests, the thing that actually moves the needle. If you have way too many types of audiences going to your site, your conversion rate, your AOV, your revenue per session, all these metrics are going to look skewed and are not going to allow you to make the right decision as you would if you didn't have these boundaries. So one of the big consequences is it just harms the quality of your decision making. And the last consequence is you're just doing more work. If you're doing all these segmentations, it is almost required that you become a day trader on the ad account and that you're constantly looking out for which one is performing better than the others. Again, multiple campaigns, multiple interests, this becomes very hectic very fast. And what you want to do is do the complete opposite. You want to create and maintain a controlled environment so that you can test things scientifically on your business so that every experiment, you just become smarter over time and your business grows. Now let's talk about the new way of targeting your ideal audience. So what you want to do is get one campaign per country, use broad targeting when it comes to your ad sets. And I mean all of the ad sets, no interest, no lookalikes, no custom audiences. When you create your ad set, you don't want to put any boundaries on any specific audiences or age demographics or placements. You want to leave it all for the algorithm to decide. And lastly, you want to let the messaging of the creative within your ad do the targeting for you. This is the new way social media works in 2025. People who find your creative relevant will resonate with it, and then the algorithm is just going to find more and more people that resonated with that creative. Now let's talk about some of the benefits of this new way of targeting your ideal audience. Number one, and this is the obvious one, is way more scalable. This is how I helped this brand go from 39K per day to 145K per day in 48 hours. Very scalable, very fast. The second point is this is going to create stability because you have all the ad sets under the same criteria and consolidated onto one campaign per country, what this does is you're allowing the algorithm to find the best and most profitable personalized customer journeys for your brand at scale, without boundaries, without limitations. So the more you spend on the ads, the more data it gets, the faster they learn, and the more stable the traffic. Why? Because the machine learning starts to understand who your ideal audience is based on your creatives and your product, and it will just feed you the most profitable and scalable customer journey. Now, this is very important because this stability in traffic creates a controlled environment in your business that allows you to test high impact tests in the backend, such as offers, products, landing pages, optimizations on the checkout, add to cart. And these are the things that actually move the needle when it comes to e-commerce growth. So by creating this controlled environment, you're putting yourself in a position to succeed. And then the last point, again, is just a lot less work. It's simpler, it's more scalable, and it takes a lot less work. You can really just grow a brand to 1 million per month by monitoring the ad account maybe a couple times in a day, no more than 1 hour per day. So now let me explain the way targeting works in 2025 and why is it that it works so well. So when you target with your creatives, this is basically what it looks like. So as you can see, the size of the circles basically represent the size of the audience the ads messaging appeals to. Okay. Now, when you have multiple ads, the amount of ad spend that each one receives, again, if you're running your campaigns as you should have in an advantage budget plus, then the algorithm should decide where to allocate the spend. The reason why you get ads that have way more spend than others is because their messaging is relevant to more people, to bigger audiences. So in this case, I created this graphic so that you can understand how the messaging of each creative can dictate how scalable each creative will be. So in this graphic, the circle sizes represent the size of the audience that the ad messaging appeals to. Now, there will be some ads that have a messaging that appeals to a smaller audience, and there will be other ads that, even though their messaging appeals to a bigger audience, their messaging is still retargeting ad for the ones who already saw the top of funnel ad. So in a summary, the red ad basically represents a top of funnel ad with broader messaging. Blue ads represent top of funnel ads with somewhat broad messaging for a smaller audience or just retargeting ads. Orange is either a top of funnel ad with very niche messaging to a smaller audience, or again, it's just a retargeting messaging, which makes it a retargeting ad. And then lastly, the green ads, these are the ads that contain a message that is very much retargeting. Now, there are two ways of scaling. Number one, you take a bigger piece of the pie. This is also known as vertical scaling. And number two, you take more pieces of multiple pies, also known as horizontal scaling. Now, this is what it looks like to take a bigger piece of the pie. Let's say that the gray circle is your target audience. If you make an ad that appeals to a broader audience, it's gonna take a bigger piece of the pie, just like ad number 5, the red circle, is doing right now. If you were to just focus on the messaging ad number 5 has, you're gonna scale a lot more than if you were to only focus on the message and that the blue circles or the blue ads or the orange ads have. Now, the second option is you can take more pieces of multiple pies. Within each e-commerce brand, there are multiple target audiences. And you can also scale your brand by just appealing to new audiences, to new demographics, new personas. Now, those are the two ways that you can scale with creative strategy. But what I always ask myself is, why not both? Why not take a bigger piece of the pie and at the same time take more pieces of multiple pies? So in conclusion, if you want to scale, the way to do it is create ads that appeal to more people. At the same time, explore new messaging angles that talk to new audiences that you or your competition haven't really talked to. Now, there is a way where you can almost guarantee that the ads you make convert like crazy. And I create a whole video for you to watch so that you can learn exactly how I do it and how I grow brands to millions of dollars per month in a very short period of time. Just click the link somewhere in this video and you're going to be able to see that video. Now, just to give you an example on what this looks like in real life, let me go ahead and give you the example of this brand called Iconic. By the way, this is not a brand I work with, so I'm just going to look at it from an external POV and basically analyze it with you. Now, if you go to their meta ads library, you can see some patterns of what creatives they're deciding to run. And yeah, they have a mix of statics, they have a mix of videos. I can see a pattern of what is the ideal audience they're targeting based on the creatives they make. But yeah, let's take a quick look into their ads. Now, I can clearly see this is a brand that wants to appeal to entrepreneurs who want to achieve success, and they basically sell their canvases as the vehicle to motivate them to their dream. If you look into their ads, you can see a lot of the ads have like an attractive girl and like a luxurious apartment in the US as a young entrepreneur. So that seems like that is like the broad message that they're using to attract the big audiences to their brand. Because just think about how big is the audience of people who want to be successful and have, I guess, an attractive girl and a luxurious apartment. It's pretty big. A lot of people want that. So that might be one of the big audiences that they are appealing to. We also got some ads like this one that is probably appealing to a smaller audience, but it still has a top of funnel format, and it's probably going on to the people that don't know what the brand is about and don't know what they sell. And this is probably the first impression, is just a first impression for a smaller audience. And then of course we get the more retargeting ads, which is just like the product, and it appeals to the people who kind of already know what the brand's all about and just need a little push. Again, this is a brand that sells to entrepreneurs, and probably one of the mass desires is they want to achieve success. So they just position their products as a vehicle to get to that status or that success with the visuals and the imagery of their ads. Now, to better understand this concept, I think about it this way, which I call the robot in the mall analogy. When you're running Facebook ads and you want to get more sales and scale, think about it like this. Let's say that you are in a mall, in a huge mall, and you have a little robot next to you, and you ask this robot, hey, I need you to go and find 10 people in this mall that have a white t-shirt. Go. And you tell the robot, hey, you have 10 minutes to do that. And then the robot goes walking through the mall and finds 10 people with white shirts. So now all of a sudden you say, hey, in the same 10 minutes, now you need to find 30 people. So the robot has to walk faster, tries to find the 10 people, and all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, the robot is unable to find the 30 people. And the reason why, let's say, is just because that robot is unable to do it within 10 minutes. This is what it looks like when you increase budget, when you don't have the necessary assets or ads to sustain that scalability. Now, let's say that you tell this robot, hey, now you need to find the same 30 people in 10 minutes, but now the 30 people can be either people who have a white t-shirt and or a black t-shirt. So then all of a sudden, the audience of the little robot increases and the robot is able to accomplish that objective. This is what happens when you give the algorithm a new ad that appeals to a different audience. It makes your brand more scalable because now the algorithm can acquire customers in different audiences. So your ads will get creative fatigue a lot less often. Now, let's say that in this third scenario, you ask the robot, hey, I need you to get 30 people with white t-shirts or black t-shirts. And now you have access to all the cameras in the mall. Now the little robot is going to be able to find those people within less than 1 minute. Now, this is basically what giving the algorithm a very scalable ad looks like. Basically like putting that red ad that I showed you before on your ad account. It's going to appeal to more people, and you will be able to tell the little robot, hey, instead of 30 people, now I want 100. And the little robot will be able to give it to you within 10 minutes because the tools that you're giving the algorithm are better tools to acquire customers. So when you do creative testing and when you want to target your ideal audience, Think about it this way. What tools are you giving the algorithm to acquire the customers with the level of ad spend that you're asking for? Is the task that you're assigning the algorithm too much, or are you giving the algorithm better tools? Basically, like giving the little robot access to all the cameras in the mall, or giving the little robot a little assistant robot, or just a better tool so that it can acquire customers faster and at a more efficient rate. I hope that analogy helped the way you see how you target your ideal customers in 2025 using Facebook ads. Let me know what questions you have about these topics and how can I help you understand this better, because this is very, very important. Now, if you have a brand that you think has the potential to scale, and you know for a fact that it has the fundamentals and it's in a position to scale, I have a couple options for you. So option number one is for the ones who want to take this brand to 1 million per month. Okay, so you probably are already doing like 100 to 200K per month. If you want to take it to 1 million per month, then I have a whole team where we're going to take your brand to the next level with paid ads, CRO, e-commerce strategies, finance, all that. Now, for the majority of you, if what you want is to take your brand to 100K per month, and you know your product is good and you just are unable to do it by yourself, I can teach you and train you to get your brand to 100K per month without having to hire anyone. No marketing agencies that are expensive, no freelancers. Just by you doing the necessary things, you will be able to get to 100K per month profitably every single month. And if you don't want to do any of these two, well, just enjoy the free content. I'm putting free content and free value of everything I basically know on the internet so that you can grow your e-commerce brand for free, no strings attached. If you don't want to miss out these free videos, just hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.